But ladies, let me be clear from the start. This is not about revenge. This is about respect. Self-respect. Reclaiming your power after someone thought they could walk away from your worth like it was nothing. Today, I'm going to give you 5 powerful steps to erase him. Not from your memories, but from the place in your heart he no longer deserves to occupy. Let's make him regret losing you, not by chasing, but by rising. Going silent after a breakup is one of the most powerful things you can do, not out of spite, but out of strength. Silence isn't weakness. In fact, silence is one of the most commanding forms of communication there is. When someone leaves you, or worse, takes you for granted, your instinct might be to reach out, to explain, to beg for closure, to try and fix what feels broken. But here's the truth. Chasing after someone who walked away only teaches them that they can come and go from your life as they please, that your value is negotiable, that you need them to feel whole. And that's the most dangerous narrative to write for yourself. When you choose silence, you are choosing to take your power back. You are removing yourself from a space where your presence was not appreciated. And instead of creating drama or chaos, you simply exit the conversation. That absence, that quiet, it echoes. It creates space for reflection. And in that space, he will begin to notice what's no longer there. The text that used to greet him in the morning, the care in your voice when you asked about his day, the tiny ways you made him feel seen and supported, all gone. Without warning, without a fight, just gone. You see, the human mind is wired to notice loss more than gain. We take things for granted when they're constant, but the moment they disappear, we start to panic. Your silence triggers that very reaction. It forces him to face a reality where your energy is no longer feeding his ego, where your love isn't available on demand, and where your time, once freely given, is now protected like treasure. That's what silence does. It flips the script. Suddenly, he's the one wondering, the one feeling the absence, the one replaying moments in his head, asking himself, did I mess this up? Did I lose her for good? And while he's sitting with those questions, you're busy healing. Because silence isn't just a weapon for him to notice you're gone. It's a gift you give yourself. It gives you the distance you need to see things clearly. You start to realize how much you were giving and how little you were receiving. You begin to recognize the emotional labor you were carrying, often in silence, just to keep the connection alive. In the quiet, your mind becomes sharper, your heart steadier. You're no longer reacting to his words, his moods, or his choices. You are reclaiming your emotional independence. But going silent doesn't just mean not calling or texting. It means removing yourself from his social media orbit. Don't post cryptic stories hoping he'll see them. Don't scroll through his feed to see what he's up to. Don't engage in digital games designed to get his attention. That's not silence. That's still noise. Real silence is cutting off the emotional supply. It's disappearing in every way that used to give him comfort, validation. It's not cold, it's clarity. And yes, it will be hard at first. The urge to reach out, to hear his voice, to get closure, it's real. Your brain is addicted to the idea of him, to the routine, to the hope that maybe, just maybe, he'll realize what he had and come running back. But here's the thing. He can't realize it if you're still there. If your voice is still in his ear, your presence still in his inbox, your shadow still in his day-to-day life. He has no reason to feel you're absent. He still has access, and access breeds entitlement. When you go silent, you're not punishing him. You're showing him what life looks like without you. You're reminding him, gently and powerfully, that your time is valuable, your love is sacred, and your energy is not to be misused. And if he truly cares, if he truly feels the loss and that regret, that slow, creeping realization that he lost someone rare will hit him in a way no angry message or emotional breakdown ever could. But the beauty of going silent isn't just about making him regret losing you. It's about making yourself proud. Proud that you chose dignity over desperation. Proud that you didn't lower yourself to chase someone who walked away. Proud that you honored your pain by giving it space to breathe and not burying it under empty conversations or shallow validation. Eventually, he will realize what he lost. Whether it's weeks, months, or even years later, he will remember the woman who gave her all. And when he does, your silence will speak louder than any words you could have ever said. It will say, "You had me, and you lost me, and I didn't have to scream for you to hear it." That is the power of silence. That is the power of self-respect. That is the first unshakable step toward making him regret losing you, not by trying to win him back, but by letting him feel the weight of a world without your love. Let the silence be your message, and let your peace be your revenge. After silence comes transformation. The second step to making him regret losing you isn't about proving him wrong. It's about proving to yourself what you've always been capable of. It's about upgrading everything, especially the one thing he thought you'd lose without him, your identity. The truth is, breakups shake us. They pull the ground from beneath our feet. And in that chaos, you're left with two choices: fall apart or rebuild. And the most powerful way to rebuild, become the version of yourself he never imagined you'd become. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone real. The you that existed before the pain, before the compromise, before you dimmed your light to make someone else comfortable. That version of you is still there, under the heartbreak, under the hurt, and now is the time to let her rise. So you start small. Maybe you change your hairstyle. Not because you want him to notice, but because you're shedding an old skin. You're stepping into the woman who isn't defined by someone else's presence. You're no longer styling yourself based on what he liked. You're discovering what you like. What makes you feel bold, confident, magnetic. Then comes your space, your room, your home, your world. You declutter. You get rid of the shirts he left, the pictures, the souvenirs of a love that no longer serves you. You redecorate. You light candles that make you feel warm. You play music that lifts your spirit. You create an environment that reflects who you are becoming, not who you were when you were with him. Because the energy around you shapes the energy within you. And when your world feels fresh, so does your soul. But the deepest upgrade, that happens on the inside. This is where you dive in. You pick up books that feed your mind, podcasts that shift your perspective, courses that help you grow. You go to the gym, not to get revenge hot, but to reconnect with your strength. You push yourself. You sweat out the sadness. You feel your body getting stronger and realize you're not as fragile as you thought. You start fueling yourself with food that nourishes you, not numbs you. You sleep better. You rise earlier. You get discipline, not for him, but for you. You also start surrounding yourself with people who see your worth without question. Real friends. People who challenge you, uplift you, make you laugh until you forget why you were crying in the first place. You spend time in spaces where love is given freely, without manipulation. And in doing so, you remember that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. You create a new circle, a new vibe, a new standard. And suddenly the thought of going back to the relationship you once begged to save becomes unimaginable. This upgrade process is not about pretending you're okay. It's about becoming okay from the inside out. There will still be days where you miss him, days when a song or a memory hits you out of nowhere, but those moments won't break you anymore. Because with every new version of yourself you meet, you start to realize he didn't break you, he freed you. He removed himself from your life, and in doing so, gave you the space to evolve. And that's where the regret starts to grow. In him. At first, he might not notice. He might think you're hurting, crying, waiting by your phone. But then he hears about you, sees a post, runs into a mutual friend, and there you are, glowing. Not faking it, not forcing it, but genuinely living. You're smiling more. You look different, but not just physically. Your energy has changed. You've stopped looking like someone who was waiting to be chosen. You've started looking like someone who chose herself. And here's what hits him hardest. He starts to understand that you're not just doing well without him, you're doing better. That everything he overlooked, the kindness, the loyalty, the depth, is now being poured into you. That someone else might experience the woman he never fully appreciated. And that thought, it burns. Because now he sees the full picture, the complete version of you. And he realizes he only ever got the draft. But by the time he reaches this realization, it's too late. Because you're no longer the same woman he left. You don't crave his validation. You don't need his apology. You don't even want his attention. You've upgraded to a place he can't reach. And that is the true regret. Because regret doesn't come from seeing you cry. It comes from seeing you shine in a way he never inspired. It comes from realizing that your best self didn't rise when he loved you. It rose when he left you. And now the version of you he gets to see is untouchable, powerful, radiant. This is what it means to upgrade. It's not revenge, it's rebirth. You didn't just survive losing him. You evolved because of it. And that, more than anything, will make him regret the day he thought he could walk away from a woman like you and not feel the loss. After the silence and the transformation, there comes a moment where you must take back control of your own narrative. A breakup often feels like someone ripped out a chapter of your life and left it unfinished. You sit there, flipping through memories, looking for the page where things went wrong, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you could rewrite it. But the truth is, you don't need to rewrite the past. What you need is to take the pen and start writing from now. This is where you stop talking about him. This is where you stop letting the story of what he did to you define who you are now. Because every time you retell the heartbreak, every time you replay the betrayal, you give that chapter more life than it deserves. There is power in deciding that your story moves on without him, that the plot twist was necessary, even if it hurt. And now it's no longer about what was, it's about what's next. Too often, we spend months, even years, stuck in the identity of the woman who was hurt, the one who wasn't chosen. But what if you stopped introducing yourself that way? What if, instead of saying he left me, you started saying I rediscovered myself? Because the moment you shift that language, everything changes. You begin to speak from a place of power, not pain. When you rewrite your story, you stop letting his choices be the climax of your life. He becomes a footnote, a side character who showed up to teach a lesson but didn't deserve the final word. You start talking about your growth, your progress, your wins, no matter how small. You speak life into your future instead of dragging the past with you like a burden. People around you begin to see the shift. They stop asking about him because your energy tells them you've moved beyond that chapter. You're not pretending. You're just choosing not to let a painful past dominate your present. And more importantly, you start believing the new story too. The more you speak about where you're going, the less you care about where you've been. You find pride in your resilience. You recognize your strength, not as something that was born from heartbreak, but something that was revealed by it. Because the truth is, you were always strong. You just didn't need to be until now. And when that strength shows up, it shows out. People start noticing, they see that something's different. Not just your look, not just your energy, but your whole presence. That's when he starts to notice too, but not because you're talking about him. In fact, it's because you're not. That silence, that absence from your narrative, that's deafening. Men feel it when a woman detaches emotionally, when she no longer brings him up, not in anger, not in sadness, not even in casual conversation. That's when the regret starts to simmer. He realizes you're no longer replaying the story because you've rewritten it entirely, and there's no role left for him in the new plot. Imagine him hearing about your latest accomplishment, maybe a promotion, a passion project, or just how happy and free you look lately. He'll look for signs that he was part of that success, but he won't find any because he wasn't. And that realization, it stings because he thought he left you broken, confused, in pieces, but instead he left you with clarity and you used it. He rebuilt not out of desperation, but out of vision. Rewriting the story also means you stop using him as the benchmark. You're no longer measuring new people against him. You're not hoping to replace him. You're raising the standard entirely. You start choosing people who match your new energy, not those who reflect your old wounds. And in doing so, you stop romanticizing the past. You stop needing closure. Because what could he possibly say that would add value to the person you are now? The silence has said enough. The growth has spoken volumes. The new story is already being written in how you carry yourself, how you protect your peace, and how you no longer allow temporary people to write permanent lines in your life. And maybe one day he'll reach out, not because he wants another chance, but because he feels the distance, because he's curious, because he realizes he no longer knows who you are. And that's the most satisfying part. You became someone he never expected, someone he can't read, someone who no longer revolves around the past you shared. And when that moment comes, you won't need to respond. You won't need to say, look at me now, because your life, your silence, your peace, that is the message. You've rewritten the story. It's not about him anymore. It's about you. And that version, that plot line, that's something he doesn't get to be part of anymore. There's a shift that happens. When you finally realize you don't need to prove anything to him anymore, that's where true healing begins. You stop performing. You stop posting for attention. You stop wondering if he's watching, if he misses you, if he regrets it yet. Because the truth is, none of that matters as much as your peace. And that's what step 4 is really about: protecting your peace at all costs, creating emotional boundaries so strong, so sacred, that no memory, no message, no moment from the past can shake your present. Protecting your peace isn't loud. It's quiet, intentional, and deeply personal. It starts when you stop letting your thoughts spiral around him. When a memory creeps in, something he said, the way he made you feel, the promises he broke, you don't run from it, but you also don't indulge it. You acknowledge it like a passing cloud and then let it drift away. Because your mind is no longer his playground. Your heart is no longer his project. You're done offering space to someone who didn't value it when he had it. You start getting selective with your energy. The people you let into your life now have to meet a new standard. One rooted in consistency, honesty, and respect. No more making excuses for flaky behavior. No more overextending yourself just to keep someone around. You've learned the cost of giving too much to someone who gives too little, and you're not going back to that version of yourself. So when someone starts playing games, sending mixed signals, or giving you just enough to keep you hoping, you don't chase, you don't wait, you walk away. That's protecting your peace. It also means redefining what moving on looks like. It doesn't have to mean jumping into a new relationship or proving that you're over him by dating someone else. Sometimes it just means waking up without that heavy weight on your chest. It means going through a whole day without checking his social media. It means laughing with your friends and realizing you weren't thinking about him at all. That's what healing quietly looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not always visible, but it's real. You also start filtering what you consume. No more sad breakup songs on repeat. No more Instagram stalking. No more venting about the same things over and over. That cycle ends now, because what you feed your mind shapes your reality. So you start listening to things that uplift you, watching content that inspires you, reading words that remind you of your worth. You choose thoughts that bring you peace over ones that keep you trapped in the past. You're building a mental environment where he doesn't exist, not because you hate him, but because you love yourself more. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become less reactive. His name doesn't spark emotion. His presence doesn't rattle your spirit. If he texts, you pause. You think, not from a place of old feelings, but from clarity. Does this message serve your peace? Does engaging with him add value or reopen wounds? Most times, the answer will be clear. Silence becomes your boundary. Not to be petty, but to be powerful. Because the most radical act of self-love is choosing not to re-enter a space that broke you. Protecting your peace also shows up in how you talk to yourself. No more self-blame. No more, maybe I wasn't enough. No more rewriting history to make him seem better than he was. You remind yourself of the facts, not the fantasy. He left. He didn't show up when it mattered. He didn't choose you the way you deserve to be chosen. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of his capacity. And now you're done trying to fit into a space that wasn't designed for you. You begin to appreciate your solitude. What used to feel like loneliness now feels like freedom. You can go a whole day without being emotionally pulled in 100 directions. You can sit in your own company and feel peace instead of pain. That's when you know you've protected your energy well. When silence feels safe instead of scary. When being alone isn't a punishment but a privilege. And yes, somewhere in the background, he will feel that shift. He'll sense the detachment. He might even test the waters, like a ghost trying to find his way back in. But by then, you've fortified your peace like a home with solid walls. He can knock, he can text, he can accidentally, like your photo, but none of it gets in because your peace is not up for negotiation. It's not for sale. It's not a door he can just walk through anymore. The beauty of protecting your peace is that it naturally creates regret in those who took it for granted. He'll remember how easy it was to access you, how freely you gave your time, your love, your presence. And now, with all of that gone, replaced by calm confidence and quiet strength, he'll feel the loss. Not because you shouted it from the rooftops, but because you didn't. Your peace is your answer now. Your silence is your statement. Your healing is the proof. And that's what makes him regret it the most. Not the heartbreak, not the distance, but the realization that you found peace without him, and you're never letting it go. The final and most powerful step is simple, yet it demands the most strength. You move on without looking back. Not halfway, not with one foot still in the door. You close the chapter, lock it, and throw the key into the ocean of everything you've learned. Because now, it's not about him anymore. It's about you. Your future, your freedom. And the moment you commit to truly moving forward, everything changes. The energy shifts. You stop waiting. You stop checking. You stop hoping that one day he'll wake up and realize what he lost, because by the time he does, it won't matter. You'll already be gone. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting him. It doesn't mean pretending the relationship didn't matter. It means accepting that it ended and knowing you are still whole without it. It means understanding that closure isn't something he can give you with a late-night apology or a last-minute confession. Closure is what you give yourself the moment you decide, I'm done reliving this. And that decision, that's the real beginning. That's the moment your story takes a new direction without him as a main character. You start by letting go of the what-ifs. The imaginary conversations, the fantasy where he comes back, changed, ready to be everything you needed. You let go of the version of him you created in your mind. The one who never hurt you, who understood you, who stayed. Because he wasn't that person. And holding on to that illusion only keeps you stuck. So instead, You look at the truth. You accept the facts. And even if it hurts, you honor yourself by facing them with courage. You stop negotiating with reality and start building a life grounded in clarity. You also start dreaming again. Not the kind of dreams where you hope he comes back, but the kind where you see yourself thriving on your own terms. You create goals that aren't tied to someone else's plans. You chase passions you once put on hold. You build a vision that doesn't include shrinking yourself for love. And as you chase those dreams, you begin to realize that maybe, just maybe, this heartbreak was the universe clearing space, making room for something better, someone better, but most importantly, a better you. And here's where the regret kicks in for him, because he'll notice, he always does. Maybe he stumbles across a photo, a post, a story where your joy is undeniable. Maybe he hears about your new job, your glow up, your peace. He'll realize that while he stayed the same, you evolved. While he took your love for granted, you turned that pain into power. And that version of you, the one who doesn't look back, doesn't reach out, doesn't wait, that version is not because she's cold, but because she's clear. The irony is, he'll probably come back when you've finally stopped caring. That's how it always happens. They return when the door is closed, when you've outgrown the conversation, when you no longer feel the need to reply. And in that moment, you realize the old you would have dropped everything to answer. The healed you doesn't even flinch. You don't need revenge. You don't need explanations. Your silence is the loudest goodbye he'll ever hear. Because true power isn't in making someone feel your absence. It's in no longer needing them to. You've already moved on. You've already created a life he has no access to. And even if he regrets it, even if he says all the right things now, it doesn't matter anymore. The version of you who would have waited is gone. In her place stands a woman who chose herself, who built a life from the ruins, who turned heartbreak into a homecoming. That's the real win. Not getting him back, not making him miss you, but walking away so completely, so gracefully that you never need to prove your worth again. You just live. You just thrive. You just are free, whole, and moving forward without ever looking back. And that, more than anything, is what he'll regret losing. Not just the love, but the woman who loved him, the woman he'll never get.